Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at the space station ecosystem, which is essentially, if you don't know, kind of how everything interacts with one another. Because I know that a lot of people maybe don't get the whole gist of it and how each space station interacts. But I'm going to go and walk through the station and you guys can see how everything is working. So, security checkpoint, obviously quite self-explanatory. A small part, call it an outpost, a small part of the broader system. Now, here you've got your hop, right? Your hop is where you change your ID card. The hop helps every personnel kind of move around the state, move around the different departments if indeed they want to change, right? Now, medical handles all of your injuries and is also the source of all your chemistry. So they'll handle if you have an accident as well as when the new keys are invading. And you have your musicians. They don't serve a function except to make noise, and your clowns. But your medical will handle all damages, and your medical will also handle all chemistry. And that also interacts with botany, by the way, because some chemicals require hydroponics, and so hydroponics also provide to food. They serve a multi-purpose role, but the majority of it will either go to food or to medical, or they'll need mutagen to get new plant species. There's a whole little, a whole interesting thing there going on in hydroponics. Security. Maintaining the peace as well as fighting off any alien invaders, be that slimes or be that new keys or syndicates. They keep the peace, they uphold the law, they keep it so that when your clown decides to go on a murderous rampage and decides to kill everyone with a crowbar, that's when your security comes in and sorts it out. Epistemics. So epistemics is basically all of your research. They research the different technologies that the other stations can take care of, that they can create. So epistemics, they'll research things, and then once they've researched something, everyone else can take advantage of them. It's quite important that epistemics, they get the research points up, and they so that the rest of the station can kind of advance on. Again, security, quite self-explanatory. This here is the perma. This leads to perma. So another aspect of security is that perma, which is permanent prisoners, they, look after the permanent prisoners as well. So again, you've got your medical outposts. Then you have engineering. I'm a part of engineering right now, just because. Engineering keeps the station running with its electricity. So this is your AME, which is essentially just going to be keeping, electricity. There are multiple different ways to power a station. They don't just do electricity though. There are subsets. You get your robotics and your drones. Those are kind of a little bit more niche. They're not as important, but the more important subcategories are your Atmos, which control the breathing, or your breathing and your oxygen mixtures, your distro. All of that is a part of engineering, but like atmospherics. And your salvage, they bring in stuff, they salvage stuff, and then they bring it in for cargo to sell, or they can find artifacts for research. So often your salvage will interact with your cargo department and your epistemics. Often your security will be in contact with everyone because they patrol around. You also have your janitors. They keep the station clean. Obviously, that's a whole different role there. And so what you'll probably see is that at the beginning of a game, the heads of all the different stations will come together and they'll decide on like what research needs done, who wants priorities of what, etc., etc. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But for the most part, your interactions will be a little bit roundabout. Your cargo, obviously, ordering stuff, right? is everything external that isn't from cargo is gotten from salvage essentially. But if you want to order something specific, then they can request it and they can buy it, but they require money, and the money that they get, yeah. So if you need something, then they can buy it, and everything. Hopefully they'll have enough money because people are doing their jobs, and that's kind of it really in terms of the departments interacting with each other. Obviously command controls everything else. The command controls the heads control each department, but for the most part your medical is kind of standalone, apart from the fact that it's got chemistry. They just treat injuries. That's really all it comes down to. Your engineering is a little bit more complicated because they interact with everyone. Say that there's a generator explosion or a power substation explosion, then they go to the place and they repair it. But in terms of who interacts with what, if you want to find out more in depth what each department on the station does, you can check out my guides for each individual station. So far I've only done one for medical, and it's a basic guide, but I'll get around to the rest of them soon. And that's really it, I mean, in terms of interactions. And then I can't think of anything crazy at the moment. Another thing to mention before I end this video is that epistemics also manage anomalies and taking out anomalies. So they'll also interact with the broader station in the way that if you have an anomaly, then you say epistemics anomaly at this location, let's just say maintenance tunnel near evacuation or something similar to that, But again, they'll all generally interact with each other on some level, but they each have different roles within the station. And if one part of the station is falling apart, then it's really going to affect the rest. So your security is needed to keep the station protected and safe. Your epistemics is needed to control the anomalies as well as research. Your engineering is needed to keep the power and atmospherics going as well as an income. Your hop is needed to help the transition between departments. Your bar and your food are all kind of drinks and recreation and food as well. Your hydroponics is, as I've said before, it's your medical and your medical interaction with chemistry, as well as your food for the chefs. And what else have I missed? I think that's it. And your janitor keeping everything clean. Other than that, according to those kind of roles within the station, you're gonna have a little bit more arbitrary roles, like your clown is your entertainment, I guess. But in terms of the big department sectors, that is generally what is going on. In any case, thanks for watching. I hope that you have a fun time on the server, and if you need more more detailed guides and information, please check out my other videos. But like, subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.